KENS 5 All Eyewitness News this morning starts now.
The bells of St. Peter's rang, white smoke rose from the chimney, and the crowd erupted. A new leader of the world's 1.2 billion Catholics is elected. Full coverage of Pope Francis straight ahead.
Also, police suspect arson in an overnight fire. Now several homes are a total loss.
I was raped during military service and during my first assignment.
And for the first time in 10 years, victims of military sexual assault testify in Washington. Good morning, Thursday, March 14th. I'm Barry Davis.
And I'm Natalie Tejeda. You're waking up to KENS 5 Eyewitness News at 4:30. We're going to talk about all of those headlines in just a few minutes. But first, it felt nice out there this morning.
A lot warmer than I thought it was going to be when we walked out. And no doubt Jared's going to get a lot warmer. Very spring-like today.
Also new this morning, police are cleaning up after a bar fight in the city's west side got ugly. Police say it happened at the cocktail bar, Tiffany's, on the 300 block of Valley High Drive. The fight erupted just before closing time. A drunk patron thought he got shot, but was apparently hit over the head with something heavy enough to split his head open. When police got there, they couldn't find any gun wounds or shells. A bar employee was also assaulted during the fight. Police are still investigating at this time to determine if any charges will be filed.
We have some breaking news. One person confirmed dead on the south side this morning after a wrong-way accident.
That's right. Marvin Hurst is now live at the scene. Good morning, Marvin. The journey began yesterday when Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio of Argentina was elected to lead the Catholic Church. He's the first non-European pope since the 8th century and the first pope ever from South America. He will be called Pope Francis. Now, Bergoglio was born December 17th in 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The 76-year-old was ordained a Jesuit priest in 1969. From there, he was named Archbishop of Buenos Aires before being elevated to Cardinal in 2001. Bergoglio was reportedly the runner-up to Pope Benedict in 2005. This year, he was the oldest of possible candidates.
Now, while the selection of the first Latin pope ever was surprising, some found it even more unexpected. Cardinals tapped a Jesuit as their leader.
In fact, Cardinal George Bergoglio was the first Jesuit to lead the Roman Catholic Church in its 2,000-year history. David Jackson dives into the history of Jesuits and why Francis is the first one. And here in the Alamo City, the Archdiocese of San Antonio held a celebratory mass for the new pope. The mass was held at San Fernando Cathedral and was packed with many local Catholics. And most people we spoke with were thrilled the new pope is also the world's first Latin pope. Even Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra says he was surprised by the cardinal selection.
I was very surprised because his name was not coming in the conversations that we had in the last few days. But I was experiencing a lot of peace and a lot of joy.
The celebratory mass at San Fernando was actually planned weeks in advance. It was just a matter of when and who the church would be celebrating. And an amazing story of survival after a skydiver hits the ground at 30 miles an hour and lives. It's all caught on camera. You don't want to miss his amazing story next. And welcome back. 2 men are facing charges in a bizarre bribery and threatening case involving a former judge. 2 years ago, Judge Juanita Vasquez Gardner received a letter threatening her and her family. Authorities say the letter came from Robert Dylan Howard. Investigators believe he sent the letter after DWI and drug possession charges against him stuck. It turns out Howard paid another man $3,500 because he said he could get the case dismissed. When that didn't happen, investigators say Howard threatened the judge via letter.
You cannot delete criminal information. Even with expunctions, it's still in the system. All it does is we put notations in there that this case has been expunged.
I'm a lot more aware of my surroundings. I try to be just cognizant of people who are around me.
Now, both men were arrested but are currently out on bond.
One of my last thoughts before I hit was, I really hope I don't hit an iron spike because it'll just be messy.
Well, that is Craig Stapleton. He survived slamming into the ground at 30 miles an hour. That's when his parachute malfunctioned. He's jumped thousands of times before, but was testing a special flag release with his partner when things went wrong.
The speed of the deployment was too much, and it actually flipped me through the risers of my parachute and fouled my parachute.
Well, after landing in a vineyard, well, he was rushed to the hospital with, get this, no broken bones, no internal bleeding, just a dislocated shoulder and some bumps and bruises. Can you imagine?
Well, the vineyard gave him a bottle of wine.
There you go. I was going to say,
I know.
nothing a bottle of wine
Yeah,
can't fix.
exactly. You know, nothing you can't get over with a bottle of wine. You know, I guess you couldn't pick a better spot to land, you know.
Oh,
Maybe other than like a whiskey distillery or something. Wow. I cannot imagine. I mean, I've been skydiving before, and you know, that's the kind of the, it just, you hope that your chute opens. I've seen videos of pets skydiving, cats skydiving.
Yeah, you try not to think about it.
You just
jump.
hope that
You don't even think about that.
Yeah.
You don't.
And meanwhile, in Washington, Texas freshman Senator Ted Cruz is crediting a fellow Republican for his grand debut on the Senate floor. Cruz helped Senator Rand Paul last week during his nearly 13-hour filibuster. It was Cruz's first appearance before colleagues to help him fill the time. He read famous passages from history, including the Travis letter.
I can promise my colleagues that in the rest of my tenure here, I am confident that we will not have an opportunity to rival those glorious words William Barrett Travis penned as he was standing for principle 177 years ago.
To filibuster, John
You may also
Brennan's
remember that Travis letter also debuted at the Alamo recently. Paul delayed John Brennan's nomination as CIA director until he got answers on America's controversial drone program. Brennan was confirmed Thursday, not long after Paul ended his filibuster. And meanwhile, in the nation's capital, the Senate held its first hearing on sexual assaults in the military, just like the Lackland abuse case.
For the first time in nearly a decade, victims told in detail how the system of military justice failed them. Tara Mergener reports from Capitol Hill. All right, this is a live look at that wrong-way driver accident on I-35 this morning. Marvin Hurst is live on the scene of that. We're going to have more on that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, this is, again, near 35 and 410. We'll have much more coming up in just a few minutes. We'll be back.
Ken's 5 All Eyewitness News this morning starts now.
Happening right now, one person is dead and another in critical condition following a wrong-way accident. We'll have a live report.
The world's Catholics rejoice as the new pope is named, but who exactly is Pope Francis? We'll have a little of his story, also in a live report.
And some Texas lawmakers are sick of footing the bill for presidential campaigns. The legislation being proposed that could save the state millions.
Good morning on this Thursday, March 14th. I'm Barry Davis.
And I'm Natalie Tejeda. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have those top stories coming up. But first, it feels nice out there this morning. Jared Silverman, you're in for Paul. Good morning to you.
Natalie, what's going on the roads?
Yeah, let's talk about what's going on out there, because we're dealing with a few problems out there, and we're going to have a live report from Marvin in just a few minutes. But let's talk again about what is going on out there, because we're dealing with a very serious accident. If we look at our Ken's 5 instant traffic map up there, if we can pull that up, Jesse, let's talk about that. We're dealing with an accident. We have one over at 10 and West Avenue this morning, and also dealing with a problem over here over at 35 and 410. And I believe that's where we're also dealing with our Marvin Hurst. If we, I believe we have a live report from our Marvin Hurst, because it's a very serious accident out there. I think we have one person has been killed. And Prompter, if you can flip that over for us really quickly. There we go. I believe one person is dead and another is in critical condition this morning after a wrong-way accident.
Yeah, it happened at about an hour ago, I-35 and 410. We do have Marvin live on the scene with that. Marvin, do we know what led to this?
And thank you so much, Marvin. Of course, this is a developing situation, so we'll be following this. New overnight as well, a man in a bar fight claims he was shot, but it turns out he was just hit over the head. Police were called out to Tiffany's Cocktail Bar in the 300 block of Valley High around 2:30 this morning. Witnesses told police they heard gunshots, but officers never found any bullet casings or gunshot wounds on the man. However, investigators say the man was heavily intoxicated and uncooperative. He was taken into custody, but no word on what charges he may face. And a man is also recovering and in the hospital this morning after rolling his car several times. Police say the 28-year-old was speeding down Thousand Oaks around 1:30 this morning when he lost control of his car. He was taken to University Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police believe alcohol may be a factor in the crash. Well, 5:05 and 50 degrees. Catholics around the world have a new leader this morning.
Yeah, Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio of Argentina, now known as Pope Francis. He was elected the new head of the Catholic Church. That announcement made yesterday afternoon. Jenny Sunica live with a little on his story. Jenny?
While bells around the world rang after the announcement of a new pope, the bells of San Fernando Cathedral stayed silent. Well, they were struck by lightning a few weeks ago and damaged in the process. New bells should be installed sometime next week. Coming up, Texas lawmakers say they're not paying for presidential campaigns anymore. The legislation they hope will save the state large amounts of cash. And good Thursday morning to you. It's been a busy morning for us out there on the roadways, dealing with several problems, including an accident, the one that we were talking about with Marvin over on the southwest side. Let's talk about a few problems, including this one over here at 10 and West Avenue. Just a minor accident out there over at 10 and West Avenue, but also dealing with that one with Marvin over here at the 35 and 410. A minor accident, a major accident, also that one really that we're dealing with Marvin. It looks like it may also be a fatal accident. So, I think I'll go ahead and change this one over to a major as well. And if we look outside on one of our TransGuide cameras over at 35 and Church Parkway, dealing with just a little bit of construction this morning over on the southbound side. So if you're headed southbound on 35 this morning, give yourself a couple of extra minutes, 'cause it looks like the two left-hand lanes are shut down this morning as well. And then a real quick check over at 281. We're close to that 410 interchange. Looking pretty good for us. Send it over to Jared with a look at our forecast, because it felt nice out. Didn't even need my jacket today.
Yeah.
And welcome back. A 13-year-old's in critical condition this morning after he was struck by a car on a rural road in Atascosa County. Police say the teenager was walking on the southbound shoulder of FM 476 around 8:30 last night when the car slammed into him. The car apparently moved toward the shoulder to let another vehicle pass. Police tell us the driver waited for authorities to arrive on the scene and will not be criminally charged. Police say the teen was wearing dark clothing at the time of the accident. It says we're still dealing with a very serious problem over on the southwest side, as well as the problem a little bit north of the downtown area over at 10 and West Avenue. Just a minor accident out there, but the big problem of the morning is really going to be over here at 35 and 410, dealing with a very serious accident and a fatal accident, from what Marvin Hurst was telling us out there on the roadways this morning. So we're kind of keeping our eyes over on this area real close to here, and I'm sure we'll have an update from Marvin in just a little bit. Taking a look outside in a few of our TransGuide cameras as well this morning. 410 over at Austin Highway, not too bad just yet. I think it's really going to be a light traffic week for a majority of the week because of spring break this week. And then a real quick check over at 410 Ingram, getting a little bit busier, but still relatively light for us traffic-wise this morning. Barry. Well, 522 and 50 degrees. Machete versus guns. Who wins? Plus, a one-legged homeless man goes on a joyride, but not in his own car. We'll explain in News on the Move. It's coming up. And 524, 50 degrees, a band of robbers confronts an armed and unwilling victim.
Plus, a one-legged man takes a homeless woman's car for a joyride. Marvin Hurst explains in News on the Move. Wow, this is just hard to believe. Only one of our Facebook fans celebrating a birthday today. Come on.
All right, well, Cindy, you
shy.
get to be the rock star today. Happy birthday to you, and you don't look a day over, why don't we just say 49?
Let's just say you don't look 70.
No, not at all. You look gorgeous, doll. Gorgeous.
Happy birthday, Cindy.
In the words of Billy Crystal, you look marvelous.
Now, if you want to make sure your loved one feels a little special on their birthday, email us their picture, their name, their age, and yes, women, you have to give it up to. Give us your age.
No.
Eyewitness@kens5.com.
I always say age is optional.
It's always a good idea, though. Everybody wants to feel special on their birthday, and this is a great way to do it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the weather, because the weather has been gorgeous. The last 2 days I've been able to go out for a run, and it's been beautiful on the running trail.
Good running weather again for today. We'll be in the mid-70s. We'll be in the 80s, though, this weekend, so things are definitely going to be warming up over the next couple of days. Lots of sunshine for today. Get out and enjoy another beautiful one.
All right, and we also are dealing with a few problems out there on the roadway, so we'll have an update on your traffic coming up in just a few minutes as well.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back at 5:30.
Ken's 5 Eyewitness News this morning starts now.
A huge fire overnight in East Bexar County may have been intentionally set. We'll have a live report in just a few minutes.
And a new leader for the world's 1.2 billion Catholics. The election of Pope Francis sets many firsts. A report from the Vatican just ahead.
And while some states are looking to ban sugary drinks, one looking to ban the ban. We'll tell you which state coming up.
And And good morning to you on this Thursday, March 14th. I'm Natalie Tejeda.
And I'm Barry Davis. We'll get to all our top stories in just a moment. Right now, look at our forecast. And it's been, well, it needs to be spring-like. It's spring, right,
That's
Jared?
right. Yeah. All right, thanks so much, Jared. Let's talk about what's going on out there on the roadway. Still dealing with two problems that we've been kind of dealing with since just a little bit before the 5 o'clock hour, including this minor accident at 10 and West. Should be in the clearing stages, as well as this major accident over at 35 and 410 over on the southwest side. We were talking with Marvin Hurst earlier, and he was saying that one person did die in this accident. Another person was hospitalized after this one. We'll hopefully have some more information from him in just a little bit. And also taking a look at some of our TransGuide cameras, 35 at Schertz Parkway. We were dealing with some construction just a little bit ago. Looks like that construction on the southbound side has cleared up and the leftbound lanes are reopened. And a real quick check in the downtown area, looking nice and clear for us this morning. Barry.
Fire investigators will begin to look through the ashes of a huge fire in northeast Bexar County last night.
That's right. Now they're trying to figure out how this massive blaze started and who's behind it. Marvin Hurst is live with the latest. Good morning, Marvin.
Communities in Illinois, Ohio, and right here in Texas are reeling after a series of deadly car accidents that have killed more than a dozen young people.
That's right. Driving instructors across the county are hoping the tragedies will send an important message about safety. Jenny Sunica is live with the latest. Good morning, Jenny. Well, the past 24 hours have seen a number of firsts for the Catholic Church. Cardinals in Rome not only elected the first ever non-European pope, but they also elected the first ever Latin American pope.
Along with being from Latin America, Jorge Bergoglio will be known as Pope Francis. Vanita Nair has more from Vatican City.
And the inauguration of a pope is traditionally a high-profile event attended by heads of states and foreign diplomats. The U.S. delegation will be led by Vice President Biden, who is America's first Catholic vice president. The full delegation has not been announced, but President Obama will not be changing his schedule to attend. But it wasn't all rejoicing Wednesday. In Illinois, church followers staged a pink smoke protest. They're angry that women were not allowed to be part of the decision-making or leadership of the Catholic Church. And as white smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel in Rome, the women released pink smoke in Chicago. And 5:39, 50 degrees, a bizarre bribe promising drop charges has two men behind bars this morning. Hey, good Thursday morning to you. You know, it's been a relatively busy day for us out there on the roadways, but it looks like things are kind of easing up for us. That accident that we were dealing with over on 10 at West Avenue has cleared up for us, but we're still dealing with this one over here at 35 and 410 for us this morning. Again, this was a pretty major accident. We've had Marvin out there for a majority of the morning, so we'll probably check in with him in just a little bit, but we're keeping our eyes on that. Taking a look at a few of our other TransGuide cameras this morning, 1604 tradesmen starting to pick up both eastbound and westbound for us this morning. And then a real quick check also over at 281, real close to St. Mary's, just a little bit north of the downtown area, looking pretty nice for us. And I think a majority of our roadways are going to be relatively sparse for us for pretty much the rest of the week because a lot of people are off on spring break. But we'll let you know where the areas are that are speeding up. Send over to Jared now because you have a pretty day in store for us, don't you? Well, President Obama continues his so-called charm offensive today. And for the third day in a row, the president will be on Capitol Hill to try and get Congress to agree to a compromise on the budget impasse. But both sides remain far apart on how to solve the country's financial woes. Many Republicans are remaining skeptical that the president will meet them halfway. Some are convinced that he doesn't want to solve the budget crisis in an attempt to win Democratic control of the House in 2014. Yeah, it looks like a beautiful 7-day forecast. Let's talk about what's going on out there on the roadways because it looks like things are kind of easing up for us, not dealing with a whole lot of serious accidents. We're still keeping our eyes on 35 and 410 on the southwest side, but taking a look on this section of 35, real close to the New Braunfels area. If you're headed northbound this morning, real close to Walnut and Seguin, speeds there in about the mid to low 60 mile per hour range this morning. And then southbound also looking pretty good for your Thursday morning drive, real close to 46 and McQueenie, also seeing speeds there in about the mid 60 mile per hour range as well. In a little bit closer in towards that city of San Antonio, towards that 35, 1604 area, looking pretty good as well. If we look outside on our TransGuide camera towards 35 and Schertz Parkway, starting to pick up a little bit on the northbound and southbound side, but still relatively calm. And then in a little bit closer towards the downtown area at the 35 and 37 interchange, nice and calm for us this morning. Barry. And Android's first boss at Google is leaving his job, but he isn't going very far. Andy Rubin is Android's co-founder and in charge of Google's mobile and digital content. The search giant says Rubin will have a new, unspecified role in the company. Google's CEO says Rubin wanted to hand over Android's reins and take on new challenges. Rubin went to Google as part of the company's purchase of Android in 2003 and has overseen its development ever since. And check this out. Your Facebook friends will now be able to keep up with your Netflix viewing habits. The video streaming service launched its first Facebook app this week on Netflix site. Users will be able to see which shows your friends have watched and rated highly on Facebook. Netflix customers can then share their viewing history on their news feed or opt out of the title sharing mode completely. Netflix expects the app to be available by the end of the week.
I don't think I want my Facebook friends or anybody
knowing what you're watching,
what I'm watching on TV. Not that I'm watching anything controversial. I just don't want anybody knowing. If I wanted them to know, I'd invite them to come over and watch with me.
It would be all of your son's, movies and kid shows.
Yes, I'm watching the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot. Get out of those baking pans or get them out to take part in this month's long celebration.
And that's right. When we come back, we'll tell you all about National Flour Month.
All right, get out your baking pans. March is National Flour Month.
That's right. Bleached, unbleached, all-purpose, wheat. Take your pick. There are several different kinds for every taste. Flour is commonly made from wheat or other cereal grains, but it can be made from seeds, nuts, roots, too, all that kind of stuff. And even though there's even gluten-free flour now for my friends that are on gluten-free diets.
And all of you bakers that are out there going to take part in baking or Flour Month, just bring the stuff you bake here
and all of my friends who, like me, make homemade tortillas. You got to use a little bit of flour to make those homemade tortillas.
We'll take those too. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.